The biggest sign to me that he's not the one is if he won't hurt another girl's feelings to protect yours.
This has to be hands down one of the worst takes I've ever heard in my life. There's actually no way anyone could have said that with active brain cells. In our current world of social media where everybody seems to make it a competition of who can share the most personal information, people talking about their dating experiences or bragging about their dating standards are one of the more major topics that are encapsulated on the internet today. And I think I've made this point in a couple of my previous videos, but boy, let me tell you, dating is extremely difficult. It's like playing the NBA finals and then you have to guard Kobe. It requires you to completely lock in. You have to consistently put out a 10 out of 10 performance for some mid. Let's not even begin to talk about the amount of overtime you have to put in to secure a first date, and then you still have to have the hardest one-on-one conversation when you talk about the other person's past, only to realize that you wasted the last 90 days and a hell of a lot of bread on a really big mistake. But I'm not even here to talk about that.
Man, like I said, that shit ain't got nothing to do with me, gang.
But a big problem that I would like to talk about is that this whole new climate of dating has bred a whole new wave of quote-unquote content creators that feel like for some weird reason they have the qualifications to talk about what a healthy relationship must look like. And if somehow your partner does not match any of their descriptions, you should now dump him or her because it's not a healthy relationship. And I'm not gonna lie, the absolute worst types of people to endorse this corny behavior are these femcel creators who think they're doing a revolutionary thing for women when they're literally giving the worst takes known to man.
So he knows I'm going to lunch.
He knows you're going to lunch.
He knows my vibe. He knows how I like to move, and he only sent $30.
I'm not going to bend over backward for a man that is just sending whatever he can. He's not going to be my boyfriend, number one. But if I'm talking to him, next time I'm out and he says, oh, you need something for lunch, I'm going to tell him, it's okay. Somebody already sent me $100.
Me in that situation, handling it with grace. Thank you so much, baby. I'm so appreciative. I'm going to still take a picture of that bill and I'm going to send it to him. Thank you for the 30. That was the tip.
I can't begin to tell you from when this deranged mindset became a thing, but one thing that never fails to amaze me is how confident these types of people are when they say the most moronic statements. For some weird reason, their confidence is always double their stupidity. Casually dropping trash with a straight face is just crazy to me. I mean, how could you possibly justify demanding money from someone who's barely getting to know you? This person had no knowledge of you 3 weeks ago, and now he has to spend a certain amount of money to move forward with you.
What?
Am I tweaking when I say this, or is this really one of the dumbest things I've ever heard? That would be like going into a car dealership and dropping 40K on a random car that you never even looked at or test drove. Wouldn't you be mad if they delivered you this garbage? And even if such an horrendous take had a basis for a proper argument, what value do these three logheads possibly have that a random guy would have to see with hindsight and immediately start funding their lifestyles?
So he knows I'm going to lunch.
He knows you're going to lunch.
He knows my vibe. He knows how I like to move, and he only sent $30.
Wouldn't that be $30 more than you originally had? Or did you set out on a mission to say the most nonsensical things just to hear yourself talk? If you had a certain lifestyle that had its demands before you met a guy, why would it be a major expectation that someone who's barely getting to know you should assume the financial responsibilities of your own life? And why is it frowned upon if a guy is funding an amount that he doesn't even have to in the first place? What happened to spending your own money?
I'm not going to bend over backward for a man that is just sending whatever he can. Next time I'm out and he says, oh, you need something for lunch, I'm going to tell him, it's okay. Somebody already sent me $100.
It's actually really embarrassing that people like this put themselves on platforms just to market themselves as the best types of women that other women should look up to, but they really just expose themselves for being classless.
What do you mean by that?
Rocking a business casual outfit that you got for $30 off of Fashion Nova does not make you any valuable. It just makes you a professional beggar, bro. I could really go on dunking on that terrible take all day, but what they fail to realize is how detrimental this is to women that are actually tuning in and listening to them. Because of the influence of these idiots on the internet, there are more and more women that fall into the delusion of thinking this type of mindset or behavior is acceptable.
Get rid of niggas that bring shit like this to you. Don't nobody want this. Wrong with a mother. But get rid of people that bring shit like this to you. What the fuck is this? Like what? What?
I find it funny that the whole time she was doing that hollering, she had a whole piece of bread on her dresser. What could you of all people be possibly complaining about? You have a piece of dry bread on your dresser, split wide open, collecting dust. I know that bread is decomposed. Touching it might deteriorate it straight into dust. And you know it's bad when it's them cheap hot dog buns from Walmart. You couldn't even come up with the money to buy regular bread. I know you're broke. You have no money. You're struggling to eat 3 square meals a day. Maybe these stupid femcel influencers can explain why one has to go above and beyond beyond for the worst society has to offer. But if I'm gonna be completely honest, seeing people around with the podcast equipment and the whole setup gives one the insight that there's a really big chance that everything that they say is utter BS. But with the vast majority of people starting to realize that a lot of these podcasts just harbor some of the dumbest people on the planet, I wouldn't even say that podcasters that created videos like this come close to some of the worst femcel creators out there. The worst types of femcel creators, in my opinions, are the ones that have the personalized style videos. They're not limited by any scheduled time to talk. They're not limited by setting up or buying any podcast equipment. They're not even limited to talking points. These guys have the free will to post the most idiotic takes that show off their insanity at any given time during the day. These types of women would record a full video without even stopping to think that such revolting takes are a reflection of underlying mental illnesses.
The biggest sign to me that he's not the one is if he won't hurt another girl's feelings to protect yours. You're telling me that he cares more about another girl's feelings than yours?
Yeah, let's go ahead and wrap that shit up for everybody's mental sanity. You could easily tell where this one was going.
Oh, hell no. I don't even want to do no research on that shit.
Anyone who finds this video making any type of sense, I'm sorry to break it to you, bro, but you have bigger problems. That is 100% without a doubt an insane person's take. Because what she's basically arguing is that a guy should be able to go out of his way to obliterate someone else's emotions without any formal context and just because she feels like it. I'm a very strong believer when it comes to the fact that some people need to get themselves checked out before they even try to interact with the outside world. Because her having this many followers means that there are a lot of people who practice and listen to her advices religiously. And I'm not gonna lie, that's low-key disturbing because what she just did was preach insecurity to all of her followers. I mean, I wouldn't really put it past the person who prides herself to be a breakup sponsor. I don't even understand how that's a possible flex. How are you proud of the fact that your influence on people splits relationships apart? Like, my guy, you're not doing anybody any favors by giving these room temperature IQ takes. And I could even make a bigger argument that you hurt more women than men by encouraging them to live by super unrealistic guidelines.
I'm just here to remind you that getting taken on dates is the bare minimum. Getting complimented, bare minimum. Him being nice to you, bare minimum. Him not getting mad at you when you bring up your feelings, bare minimum. Okay, and guess what else? You shouldn't have to beg for the bare minimum.
There couldn't be a more socially unaware statement from anybody than the one I'm hearing from this lady's mouth. Because in a world where the over-sexualization and objectification of women is very prevalent, anybody would sound like a complete clown when saying that finding one guy out of many lustful men in the world who has genuine interest in you and reaches out with the most genuine gestures would be only the bare minimum of anything a man should do. I mean, what more do you want a guy to do? Do you want him to fly you to the moon for dinner? It just doesn't make any sense. I think this is a very pathetic and misguided attempt to instill confidence in women. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm all for the confidence booster and the reassurance that each woman is important and is a desirable person in society. But when you tell women that someone who is reaching out in a genuine manner out of either attraction and admiration and getting to know a woman better happens to be the bare minimum that he can do, you're instilling a mindset that is detrimental to women. And that mindset also drives men away, because the next honest and genuine guy that they meet who reaches out and wants to get to know them, they're gonna pass up on a genuine relationship because of their overly inflated egos due to an extremely delusional mindset that was instilled by a loghead who overly preached that they could have better than they actually deserve. And for some weird reason, this is nowhere near the best thing she has to say. There's still more.
It's not a competition, but if that man had to block you to move on, you win. You win.
Bro, I don't know how much more I can take hearing this woman's voice. I might just end it all.
Oh my God.
Why you would preach such an immature view of moving on like it's some sort of gospel that your followers should follow is pure insanity to me. I mean, this sort of terrible take reflects what an 8th grader's view on relationships would look like. Any grown adult knows that there is no winning or losing when people move on, and only a truly immature person would really interpret it that way. Someone having to block you to move on depends entirely on how they take the whole situation and how they like to cope with things in general. It doesn't mean you being unblocked will make you an irresistible person in their lives. And to instill the worst messages into people's mindset like it's something to be proud of is just crazy to me. We could talk about raising prices for podcast mics all day for these podcasters, but I'm not gonna lie, these femcel creators are worse, because you have to be abnormal to be confident in saying these things. Their whole base of influencers are completely out of control, and I think humanity as a whole can move on without their existence. Anyways, please be sure to like the video if you enjoyed. I'd love to hear your comments about this down below, and make sure to leave a sub if you would like more content like this.